Good evening, everybody. I'm calling this meeting of Village Board of Trustees on October 13, 2025 to order at 7 p.m. Clerk Lauken, roll call vote, please.
Trustee
Roll call,
Alfano.
please.
Here.
Trustee Cordova is not here. Trustee Constantos.
Here.
Trustee Kozar.
Here.
Trustee Kumar.
Here.
Trustee Sabri. Here. Village President Kevin Patrick.
Here. Okay, if we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, do we have any amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll start with public comments on agenda items. Clerk Lauken.
Yes, we have many. Christine Murphy.
And before we begin, please remember that you have 3 minutes. I ask that you please refrain from name calling or any kind of disrespectful behavior, applauding, any of that nature. Christine Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you. And just a reminder, the board reports to the residents don't report to the board. However, I do intend to keep my comments to 3 minutes, although I did have to add another agenda item. I'm Christine Murphy from 523 South Yale Avenue, and it wouldn't be October if I didn't comment on Resolution 13A, which is the trick-or-treat hours. Approximately 5 years ago, we made a change to the trick-or-treat hours to extend them from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am not an advocate of the 8 p.m. I have recommended in the past and will stick to my resolution of wanting the hours to be changed back to 7 p.m., which is what time dark comes, 7 p.m. And I have in the past advocated to have a village event at a common location from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the young adults and the teenagers so they could all be in one place after dark. And I think that's safer for the children and also more convenient for our residents. I understand I'll be told to turn my front lights off. I shouldn't have to fiddle with my front lights, and I don't necessarily want people around my house after dark. So that's my annual. I should record it, and I wouldn't have to come every October. So that would be that. More importantly, I am here to speak on Ordinance 10A, which is the potential increase to the liquor license fees. I am adverse to these particular liquor license fees. I'm not suggesting perhaps they don't need to be raised. However, this is an extreme case. So my questions would be, is the board aware of Elmhurst reducing their liquor license fees, an attempt to reduce the number of businesses that are migrating out of Elmhurst? They have had at least 10 businesses recently leave, and they have recently voted as a board to reduce their liquor license fees. So obviously, I don't have a basis of comparison for that on our surrounding villages, which is something I would like to see before we determined what we're changing the liquor license fees to. A couple other questions that I think our residents and business owners, who many of them are in attendance tonight, deserve answers. The first question is, have we engaged with a group of license holders and residents to discuss and get their input perspective on the rates and the impact to their local businesses? Because the proposed increase is almost 4 times what their rates previously were. My next question is, what % of businesses in our surrounding villages serve alcohol? Do we know that? We seem to have a lot of people that are against these businesses serving alcohol, and I personally don't know what that is based upon. The third is, by loading the Liquor Commission with commissioners that have previously expressed negativity toward alcohol, you are unfairly and adversely affecting the financial base this revenue generates, as well as the diversity of our businesses in our village. Can you provide to the residents how much revenue Villa Park brings in on alcohol, so that if, by raising that rate, we do have businesses moving out of Villa Park, how will that negatively impact our revenue on what we're currently getting for alcohol in these businesses? So from my perspective, you have limited to no basis for making this decision tonight. I think our residents and businesses deserve answers to these questions, and we need to revisit our decision on whether we're going to increase it, if so, by how much, and if we're going to increase it, start the new businesses with new liquor licenses at the new rate, whatever it's determined to be, but take our current business owners and gradually increase it over a time frame of perhaps 3 years, so that you're not in 1 year increasing their liquor license fees by potentially 4 times. So what I'm asking the board to do is not only defer this to a second reading, but permanently take it off the agenda until you give the residents and business owners the answers they deserve. Thank you.
I apologize, whoever the third person is, I can't read your signature at all here. It is not Debbie Demito. Oh, it is Debbie Demito. I'm sorry. I finally recognized the Debbie part.
Chicken scratch, huh? Good evening, my name's Debbie Demito. My address is 0S505 Euclid Avenue, Villa Park, Illinois. I am here to address the 10A about raising the prices of our liquor licenses. It's just very recently brought to my attention. I don't understand why it wasn't brought to my attention and some of my friends and neighbors that own liquor license in this town, and we couldn't have a opportunity to discuss it or even know why it's being raised, not a reasonable amount, but more than double. I don't understand what is the reasoning for this. I know they raised it a couple of years ago, which I don't think anybody had a problem with. It was a reasonable amount of money, but it wasn't more than double of what it was. And also, I don't know the exact date, but it wasn't all that long ago. It was within the last, I want to guess, 8 years, maybe one of you guys know, when they started adding, they call it food tax. But food tax is really food and beverage tax, and beverage is both alcohol and drinks. So every month, we pay a substantial amount to Villa Park for this food tax. So now, on top of that, to more than double our liquor license, you're really putting a squeeze on us. And I don't understand why, and I don't understand why we didn't receive an email or a letter or anything to at least discuss it and understand why you're doing that. It's almost like it would be smarter for me to cut out entertainment, cut out food, try and sell less alcohol and just have more gambling. But I know that's not what you guys want. That's really not what I want either, but it makes more sense. And that's where you're pushing us, or you're going to push me into a different neighborhood. I did, with a little bit of time I had, did a little bit of homework to see, like our neighboring towns, what they're paying now for liquor license that is within. Elmer's just decreased theirs because of this exact same reason. They decreased it, I think, like $1,500. Don't quote me, but I know it was a substantial amount. They did not raise it, they decreased it. Bensonville's liquor license, I think the same one I have, is $2,500. Oakbrook is $2,800 and less. I'm sorry, Oakbrook Terrace. I couldn't get Lombard's. So to raise ours up to $5,000, I think is unfair. And I think you're not only going to scare away potentially new business, I think you may scare away existing business. So that is really all I have to say. Thank you.
Again, I apologize. Is it a Thomas? CZESK? No?
What was the name?
It looks to me like a Thomas CZECK.
If you're in the audience and you want to speak, go ahead and come
Go
on up.
for it.
Come on up. Just if you
Can
can,
you tell me who you are so
Yeah.
I can
My
write?
name is Frank Check. Like cash check.
Frank, check. Well, I got the check part. Thank you very
I
much.
didn't know I was going to speak here. I just saw the amount that increased. It's almost unconscionable to go to triple to sometimes 4 times the fee for the liquor license from last year to this year. I mean, the proposal, I think that's wrong. Also, you know, the village gets a certain amount of the sales tax from the state. I think 1 or 2% is from the, is returned to the village. And the eating tax, I think that it's a fair deal. $5,000, I owned a bar in Chicago, and I didn't pay $5,000 for a bar in Chicago. And it was River North, so that's about it. I think you should really reconsider this. I think it's a toxic situation, and it would be much better, beneficial to just keep it down or do some studies on it, but just to arbitrarily raise it 3 to 4 times so much is wrong. Thank you.
Frank, check. Mary Ann? Mary Ann, what's your last name?
DeLulio.
Thank you.
Marianne DeLulio, 357 South Ardmore. I'm the owner of Mortadelli. So I guess I feel the same that everybody that's been up here. I don't need to repeat it all, but I guess my question is to everybody up here, I guess food costs. We know food costs is through the roof, liquor, et cetera. So being said that, why are we raising this much, this fast? That's a question I have for everybody up here. Secondly, the village, they take in all the revenue from the liquor, the food, the sales tax that we pay every month, and it generates stuff for our town, correct? So why is it that you would want to raise something this high and this much when our cost for everything right now is so high and for everybody? And then on top of that, think that as a business owner, we're going to be able to stay in this town and keep working and generating jobs for people, bringing people to our community when we're not going to be successful. I mean, let's face it, people are going to have to close their doors. This is insane. I mean, as it is right now, I mean, I'm stuck with a beer and wine license trying to get on the board here, and it's like impossible. I was told a lot of things, and I guess that would be on non-agenda, so I can come back up and speak on that. So I guess that's all I have to say for the fee increase. And I also was never informed, never sent an email, so I'm in the dark with knowing what's going on, and I think this is a big deal.
Brendan Fitzharris. I know, I apologize.
Brendan Fitzharris. I own Fitz's Irish Bulldog, 314 West St. Charles Road, Villa Park. I don't want to repeat what everyone else said, but I agree with what they all said. I also want to add that, you know, I don't know, some of you might be small business owners too, but if not, you own homes or you have things, you know, the costs in the last 5 years have skyrocketed so much. Utilities, insurance, food costs, liquor costs, everything. You added the food and beverage tax, you know. It's squeezing us out of being in business. It's not worth it, you know, to work all these hours we do and put in the time if you're going to just everyone's going to keep adding on and just squeezing small businesses out of being able to survive. An increase in this amount is, I mean, ludicrous. I mean, to just double or triple something without no notice. I luckily got a text from another bar owner to even let me know about it. I think that we should be notified. I think it should have been discussed more, or at least that, and I know that this is for, but I'm kind of curious who decided that that's a good level. I also have a business in Elmhurst. They just lowered theirs by $1,500 because businesses were leaving and closing. They couldn't survive. So I think that should be strongly considered. All the costs that have been added on to us, the increase of doing business is just, it's very hard to own a small business nowadays. So we would appreciate help from our community leaders, not trying to take more money from us. So I'd appreciate consideration on that. Thank you.
That is it for agenda items.
Go ahead, you got it.
I'm sorry, I was a few minutes late.
Could you give us your
Yeah,
name?
my name's John Demerjian. My wife and I, Kristen Demerjian, own the Captain's Room. We just celebrated 1 year in business, and we've had a very good year. But as you know, there's the startup cost of putting a business together and renovating a building and owning a building and all the different things that go into that. Right? There's many years of recoup to get through. Putting that stuff together. And I didn't hear anybody say, I might have missed something beforehand. I think one of the biggest things, and my business wasn't around during COVID, but if you talk to any business owner, let alone a small business owner, that went through what happened with COVID, especially here in Illinois and the shutdowns that happened, that just crushed people. I mean, absolutely crushed. Our gym owner down the hall, down the way over here, the business just got absolutely wiped out. The guy is still reeling from that years later. All the businesses that left town, all the businesses that got crushed are still clawing out of that. I'm sure there's losses, Deb, you could put out, for all the times you had to be closed for that many years. You're not even close to recouping any of that. I wasn't in town yet, but it would have been pretty hard for me to operate, especially after, putting up our personal money. That was money that, we built out. Those things. We bought that, building the way we did and all those things. I think that's a huge point that a lot of these businesses are still digging out of a hole that, was, and now we're finding out, and I'm not going to get into COVID and, the politicization of it, but a lot of that was nonsense and things could have been opened up a lot earlier and we could have saved a lot of businesses and a lot of people and a lot of strife, went ripping through and these people are still dealing with it. And anybody could look up and find out that you can't just arbitrarily, raise a fee, that has to do with something, right? There's statutes for things have to be justified. There have to be, reasonable, there have to be reasons that are documented and justifiable to to the actual costs that are being increased. And I didn't see much information online when I printed the PDF that had the agenda item. There was something about the consumer price index, pointing to that. And if you dig into that information, I mean, you're going to have a real hard time debating that with someone. And I'd be happy to prepare some information and debate that with anyone that wants to. But if anything, a 20% increase might be justified based on the CPI if anyone really studied that and went back and looked at that. Not 163%, in some cases more, for something that hasn't risen since 2018 or 19. I might be wrong on that, but that's what my research showed in the day that I got notified of it. And thanks to Deb, I had no idea. I was just plugging along, trying to make a buck and do my job. So thanks for letting me know. So I had it yesterday to kind of figure this out. And I think, I don't know if anyone's put any FOIA requests in, and I don't like being that guy, but has anyone explained today, or maybe I missed it, and again, sorry for being late, has anyone laid out kind of exactly what the increased dollars are? Because it's my understanding that there's about 86 liquor licenses. Is that right? Does anyone know how many liquor licenses Villa Park has right now?
Yeah, but we're going to let you make your comments.
Okay.
So we're not going to do a Q&A up
Oh, I
here.
just was curious if
But
it was
what I-
86.
What I'm getting at, though, too, is that this is why we're here. This is the proper way of talking about things, and this is why it's on the agenda. So
Good.
after your statements, I would say, stay for the conversation. Maybe you all learn something.
Yeah, great. So like I said, I don't like this. This is the first time I heard of it. But again, for anyone looking at this, it cannot be arbitrary. It has to be very line item, very carefully as to what that money's going to go to, and compliance and enforcement and all that different stuff, and if that has to do with gaming and whatnot, for those of us that don't have gaming, what does that have to do with what we're businesses, doing? So those are separate issues and things, but again, I think we have to put out for everybody exactly what that money is going to be appropriated for. It is a very massive increase. It doesn't seem justifiable based on previous increases. And the only other fodder that I saw in the record for the agenda was that, well, other towns are doing it, we should be able to do it too. It wasn't phrased like that, but those were the only two items I saw on the agenda. So if that's the basis for it, I don't feel like that's a good enough reason to at least, we should be delaying this until all that is, documented. And I don't know where you guys are in the process, if this is just a proposal at this point, I'm assuming that's correct? So there's a lot that has to happen between now and whatever. I'm open to, if has to be an increase, and it's gonna be towards getting us better service for what we need to get done. I don't know what we get from, a liquor commission or the Illinois Liquor Commission or anybody else, other than, the privilege of doing what we do, or the right. I don't know if it's a right or a privilege at this point. But when you pay for something, you expect to get something out of it. When you pay 3 or 4 times X for something, you expect to get 3 or 4 times X out of it, and I don't know what we would benefit from. So those are the 3 or 4 points that I'd like to have for discussion and understand, to make it justifiable. So. Sorry if I was duplicative on anything, but it's late. Thanks, Frank. Check.
Cheryl Tucker. I don't need to talk on 10A. We have enough people doing it, but I just wanted you to consider the economic things. You've got new committees that are trying to get businesses in here. You've got a new gentleman that you're talking about hiring to get businesses and keep businesses in here. You might want to consider that the disadvantage of doing this and raising it that amount, maybe a little. The other thing I actually wanted to bring up was on 17A. You've got an opportunity and a group here that is offering to actually save the village some money and yet improve our parks and our fields in here. And not to call you guys crazy, but if you didn't figure out a way to do this, that would be kind of crazy. Because you've got an opportunity here to get some free money and a free opportunity to work with an organization that we've been talking about for years. And if you don't take this opportunity and figure out a way to do this, it's a big mistake, very big mistake. So, and I know you guys are all smart enough to figure that out. So I just wanted to bring up the point that what they're offering is a bonus for us. Please consider a way of doing that. Thank you.
Is there anybody else on agenda items? Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, now we will move to non-agenda items.
You have Mary Ann.
Mary Ann DeLulio. So I'm up here because I need to find out exactly how I go about coming in front of the board to change my liquor license. It seems like I'm just getting the runaround, and it's very difficult, and it shouldn't be this hard. The other thing is, I've had Kevin Patrick in my restaurant before, more than once. While he was campaigning, he sent me a text message on my phone asking me to put signs in his window. That was the only way that I had ever communicated with him. However, I sent him a message, asked for him to give me a call. I was instructed that's not the way to communicate. It's through your email. I've sent you numerous emails, and I'm just wondering, are you going to ever respond?
I have not gotten numerous emails from you.
I have copies of them, and I can send them
We're
to
not
you.
going to get into that debate. Continue with your 3 minutes,
Correct,
please.
but I have copies of them
Okay.
dated, so I will definitely share them with you. However, I'm just wondering, because I'm just a business owner and just looking to make, progress here in
Yeah.
our town, and I just need a response.
Yeah, and if you want me to answer that question now, I can.
I'm not asking you to, I just want you to know, because I don't know how else to get a hold of you.
Okay, and I understand that there's been a lot of changes recently, especially when it comes to liquor licensing and the local liquor control commission. But to answer your question, the proper way is to go in front of the liquor control commission to tell them what that you want to do, change your license. That's it.
Right, but that's why I tried to get a hold of you to find out what the process is, because of so many changes without anybody being informed of the changes.
Okay,
So I'll shoot the emails back over to you, but I thought this is maybe the only way for me to get through so that you can understand I need to speak to you.
okay,
Thank you.
yep. Is there anybody else on non-agenda items? Any else? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move along to proclamations. The first proclamation that we have is a proclamation recognizing October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a worldwide annual campaign in October involving thousands of organizations to highlight the importance of breast cancer awareness, education, and research. And whereas in 2025, approximately 316,950 women and 2,800 men are expected to be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer in the United States. And whereas increasing the public's knowledge about the importance of early detection of breast cancer diagnoses and treatment can save lives. And whereas in October, we recognize breast cancer survivors, those battling the disease, their families and friends who are a tireless source of love and encouragement, and applaud the efforts of our medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure and to honor those lives lost to this disease. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite the community and reaffirm. Now, therefore, I, Kevin Patrick, President of the Village of Villa Park, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the Village of Villa Park. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand this 13th day of October 2025. Our second proclamation of the night is the proclamation recognizing October as National Community Planning Month in the Village of Villa Park. Whereas the month of October is recognized as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America. And whereas change is constant and creates possibilities that not only affect the Village of Villa Park, but villages, cities, and towns across the United States. And whereas community planning and planners help navigate this change with data-driven insights and expertise that provides better choices for how people work and live. And whereas the full benefits of planning requires staff, commissions, and elected and appointed officials who understand and support planning and plan implementation. And whereas the American Planning Association endorses National Community Planning Month to highlight how planning and the village planning staff are essential to communities, housing, transportation, and land use questions. And now, therefore, I, Kevin Patrick, President of the Village of Villa Park, do hereby proclaim and recognize October as National Community Planning Month in the Village of Villa Park on this 13th day of October, 2025. Okay. Moving along, we have the consent agenda. The bills listed for the weeks of September 8th, 2025 in the amount of $377,260.18, and September 15th, 2025 in the amount of $839,676.12, along with the approval of the minutes from the village board meeting held on September 22nd, 2025. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Constados, do I have a second? Trustee Sabri, do we have any discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova. Trustee Constatos.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Sabri.
Yes.
Okay, moving along. Item 10, the ordinance for first reading. So the ordinance of first reading, the ordinance of Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending Section 3, TAC 316 of Article 3, Chapter 3 of the Villa Park Municipal Code to increase liquor licensing fees. This is an ordinance amending Section 3, TAC 316 of the Villa Park Municipal Code to increase certain liquor license fees. This ordinance was recommended by the local Liquor Control Commission. This is a first reading. Do I have a, do we have discussion? A motion? A motion for the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I have a first by trustee Constados. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Alfano. Before we go into discussion, I would just like to say that the local Liquor Control Commission has been discussing this for 2 months. Those agendas were posted at least 48 hours, according to Open Meetings Act, prior to those meetings taking place. And those videos are on YouTube, if you haven't seen them already, so that way you could understand the conversations and how we got to this point. I understand that a lot of you, especially here today, are concerned about this, but hopefully the discussion that you hear today might help alleviate some of those questions that you have. And if you continue to have further questions about that, I ask that you reach out by email and ask. If you can't get a hold of me for some reason, there are 6 other board members on here that you could direct those to. Also, the Liquor Control Commission has a an email address that you could reach out to them as well. And we have our Commissioner Joey DiTomaso here as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, is it Local Liquor Control Commission at invillapark.com? I think so. Okay. With that being said, I do encourage you, if you do have further questions or concerns, to attend these meetings. So I ask that you, okay, we'll move on. Trustee, and before we begin,
Go ahead.
Attorney Morton.
Thank you. Just before the discussion, I just wanted to clarify a couple changes to the ordinance in what you have in front of you. There were 2 revisions that I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of from what you saw in the packet over the weekend. One is there was an error, an incidental error on the staff or not the staff, the commission recommendation for the quadruple A license.
Page.
Page 3 of the ordinance. So for 4A, the current annual fee is $1,900. The commission's recommendation incorrectly recommended $4,500 for the recommended fee. They intended that to be $3,000. So that was changed in the ordinance in front of you. For the quadruple A. Quadruple A from $1,900 to $3,000. And then the other change is a correction from an ordinance from 2019 that this board adopted unanimously. In 2019, there was a section of Ordinance 4104 that provided that the annual license fee shall be increased, issuance license fee and annual license fee shall be increased every year by an amount equal to the percentage of the increase in the Consumer Price Index, CPIU, for the prior calendar year. All our records show that that never was implemented. For the past 6 years, the rates have not gone up as that ordinance intended. So that's part of, I know, that's contained within the recommendation of the commission, part of the reason for these recommended increases. But to ensure that this doesn't get left out again, we've now added that codified into this ordinance, which it should have been done the first time. It was approved in 2019. It should have then continued, but by putting it into our code of ordinances, that should help make sure that it doesn't get forgotten again.
Okay, so just to clarify too, part of the issue was in 2019, to simplify this, is that the village board at the time did approve the codification of the CPI as an annual increase, which after that happened, that did not take place due to our previous administration. So those were things that were supposed to happen. I'm not going to get into a Q&A, but I'll say that I don't know what the other administration was thinking at the time, other than it was approved by the board and never put into effect since 2019. All right, we'll start this off. Trustee Kumar.
I'm just going to go to, it wasn't done, that's fine. The CPI, remember 2019, 2020, and 2021 were the COVID years. So this is something we need to address within this thing. And so the increase due to CPI, we shouldn't be doing for the years that were COVID years, because they, in the city of Chicago, I know that an enormous amount of restaurants left because of increasing fees. So I think just basing it on the CPI, and I don't know, I was part of some of the part of administration. This wasn't something I was made aware of at that point, but increasing retrospect to what wasn't increased based on the CPI, I wouldn't be favorable to that, given that those were partly the COVID years. However, I myself brought up the fact that some of these licenses, people are not, have options that, and others don't. The option to game versus not gaming gives you an option to make more income versus not more income. So I do believe that there should be a differential between the pricing of the two. If you have the option to do something, you should pay more than if you don't have the option to do that particular thing. So that I'm not against. I do think that this is an enormous rise in a time where I have to agree that food costs are going through the roof. And so we need to kind of consider that it is. I like the fact of a differential, because otherwise nobody is going to get the quadruple A that we so lovingly put on the board if there's no differential. So, and I do appreciate that the Liquor Commission has been working very hard to kind of go through this and address these issues. It's something that we have to understand and appreciate the time and effort that those people on that commission are taking in this aspect. So I think the CPI aspect, though I am an economist and I love tying things to the CPI, one has to remember that the CPI is a very generalized measure across many, many, many buckets, right? And the buckets for food have been disproportionate to compare it to the buckets for other things. So we need to be really careful in implementing the CPI. Now, it might be a bad thing or a good thing. We did lose revenue that we could have gotten in the last 5-6 years. And I understand the thought process of that revenue was lost. And for us as a village, we do need that revenue. I would say that we are kind of revenue short overall. And that's something to think about. I would step up some of these costs over a couple of years. That tends to make sense to me. And I really think we need to take this back to the drawing board a little bit and revisit some of these numbers more than revisit the process. It's very complicated. Our liquor code itself seems very, very complicated, which is a sort of a problem as well. So, and I understand the difficulty. But one thing that was said is that I do understand if cities around us are decreasing their costs for liquor licenses, irrespective if they have the option or not for gambling, that is a sign. It's a sign that we need to kind of pull down some of these costs, because otherwise people are going to leave. And Villa Park can't afford that. It also, we have new commissions like the growth commissions that are trying to bring in new businesses. I wouldn't want to make it hard on them to bring in the new businesses, right? So this is my thought. So maybe we can have this discussion on the board as to what the right numbers are a little bit, but I'm not against the differential in some of these things.
Trustee Constados.
Thank you. I'm glad that the attorney mentioned the 2019 passing of the amendment, because I did some homework myself on this topic and found that out, that the previous administration did not follow that. I hear everybody saying about Elmhurst. I also researched some things in Elmhurst. Yes, Elmhurst is lowering their license fees. However, in the same article proposing that, Elmhurst is also talking about raising their taxes on property. They're also a home rule town where we are not. So there's some differences. They also, more importantly, don't allow gaming there. The only place you can game is the VFW there. So there's differences as to what they are versus our town. The existing rates, they just don't make sense to me when you take the different types of licenses, okay? I think that there's a lot of different licenses for different categories here. I think that with the way that the annual fees are being presented, it will help a lot of the businesses align with the proper license they should be with. A lot of people have a license that includes gaming that they're paying for, that they're not doing gaming. So why have that license? Have a license that doesn't include it, and the license fee is cheaper. If you're not using it anyways, you're not using it. That's one way. Also, the increase in the fees, I'm assuming, is to cover cost for increased enforcement efforts, which obviously it sounds like in the past several years, without the increases being done, there's been no efforts being made. So I know that that's going to cost some money as well. Let me see here. I had a couple other things. But that's just kind of my take. I was, looking over the fees. Had the previous administration implemented the amendment that was done to the original ordinance, right now, everybody would be paying probably about 25% more than what you are currently. So there would be increases going on throughout the years. I understand that COVID happened and everything. I understand that we're trying to get more businesses in. But being a small business owner myself, I would like to limit how many more new businesses we take in that serve alcohol. And it's not a preference that I don't like alcohol or I don't drink or whatever. I'm simply looking at the businesses that are here, that have been here, like Deb DeMito and all the other business owners that have been in this town for years and years and years, that have had their established businesses. I don't want to bring 10 more businesses in that she and everybody else has to share their income with. I don't think that's right. We have to show some loyalty to the people that have been established here, and we're trying to do that as well by not bringing in so many more. We can't saturate our town with just liquor, just like we can't saturate it with auto places, just like we can't saturate it with other types of businesses. So in my eyes, it's also trying to protect the business owners that are currently here from having many more coming in the door and taking a little portion from all of you so they can have some for themselves as well. And that's just kind of how I somewhat see it. Thank you.
Trustee Sabri?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to ask a question. Elmer's used to charge $5,500 for just a straight liquor license, no gaming. And we used to charge $1,900, and today we are asking for $3,000. And they are reducing $1,500, but still $4,000. So that means they are still $1,000 more than Village of Villa Park. So the question here is that we are still better off with this licensing fee today. And in spite of the increases that COVID, I'm not asking you to go back and retrofit or retroactive the increases that previous administration failed to enforce those fees. I think just the quad AAA license fee is still, even though we are increasing it, it's not that big of a change here compared to it's a liquor license.
Trustee Alfano?
Thank you. So I think I struggle as I sit in this seat for a lot of different reasons, because I look to the people who were here before me. I listen to what they have to say. I am responsible for listening to residents, and our village is in my care as a trustee. So there are a lot of spinning plates and there are a lot of push and pull. But I have people that sat in this seat who come and say one thing, and then when I look and see what they have done, they have increased liquor licenses before. And we are here, and we still have businesses here, and we still have bars here, and we still have people who are selling liquor, and we are okay. I think that the idea of comparing with just Elmhurst, because that has been what I have heard the most this evening, with going from 5,500 to 4,000 and looking at what we are offering. And as Trustee Sabri says, we do offer gaming. We do offer a gaming license. I think that's something to consider as well. But the biggest thing that I struggled as I did my homework was before 2019, it was 27 years before anybody bothered to look to see what our license fees were for liquor. And that's a really long time to sit and wait and to not really do the job for the Village of Villa Park in general. And I really think that that's something to consider too. I don't really want to have to wait another 27 years. And it feels like when you look at the ordinance, and we have an ordinance that says that we are supposed to be looking at some increase, whatever that increase might be and what that's tied to, we're not following it for whatever reason, and that's something that needs to be addressed too. And those are my thoughts and from what I've heard.
Trustee Kozar.
So I see two different things here. Increasing the fees in part, I don't have a problem with, but increasing other fees, I don't think we need to. So for example, Quad A and Quad E does not have the ability to do gaming, and I think those fees should stay the same, not even increase. They should stay the same. They're $1,900, and I believe for Quad A and Quad E is $2,000, so basically the same. What I propose, and I'm going to make a motion to it, is that there are certain licenses, triple E, triple A, double A, single A, triple E, double E, I, L, and Z, that do allow gaming. And when I'm done here, I'll make this motion, but I propose that those licenses increase threefold. The ones that don't have gaming, they stay the same. And that if anybody who has gaming as an option with their license, but chooses not to participate, can transfer to that license and keep their license fee at the bare minimum, the lowest that we have. This will help compensate our overall cost to the village. And we have overwhelming sentiment in this village that is against gaming, against more gaming, against the way that we've implemented gaming. So for something so unpopular, I think it's fair that there is compensation to the village for the village's increased cost. However, if you don't have it and you don't utilize it, you shouldn't have to pay the same. I had a business, I had a liquor license, and my liquor license allowed for gaming, but I chose not to utilize that, and I chose not to have gaming. I don't think that at that time, I don't think that I should have had to pay as much, because I wasn't utilizing the same resources from our village. But there was no other option. Now there is an option. So for any business out there that would want to decouple and continue doing what they're doing, or, not have gaming, you would have an option with what I propose. So my motion is AAA, AA, single A, triple E, double E, I, L, and Z licenses would increase their renewal threefold. The licensing that does not have gaming as an option would not have an increase. That's my motion. And I would like to add one more thing, that as we sat here and I heard several comments about barely making it, January through August revenue for businesses with gaming was over $3.3 million for those months. So I do think some of that argument is disingenuous. So my motion stands as to both those types of licenses.
Okay, so just to clarify then, your motion is to triple the fee for AAA, AA, single A, triple E, double E, L, Z, and I?
Correct.
Okay.
And then additionally, no increase for Quad A and Quad E and any other license that does not have gaming
Okay.
tethered to it.
Okay, is there a second for that?
I second.
Trustee Sabri? So I have a motion and a second. Okay, discussion. Trustee Kumar?
Yeah, as I said, I'm not against the differential between the two. However, I think tripling is a little steep on those licenses, seems very steep. Only because there are certain businesses that do really well with gaming and there's others that don't do as well with gaming. There are two different concepts. So there's some that are really concentrating on the gaming. Stella's, your Betty's, they make a ton of money off of the gaming, and others don't. They're just using it to pay the electric bill. So I would say okay with doubling it. Tripling it seems very, very steep to me. And I'm okay with everything else Trustee Kozar said about the other licenses.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Trustee Constados?
I apologize. That was so quick. Can we repeat which ones again?
Sure.
Because there's
So the
so
motion-
many here. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure I'm getting this correct.
I'll do it. So the motion is that we are going to triple the fees for AAA,
Triple A,
AA,
double A,
single A,
single A.
triple E, double E, I, L, and Z. However, keeping quadruple A and quadruple E the same. And that would allow, yes.
So that's the non-gaming ones, the last batch you rattled off, right?
Yes. Is there any other discussion? Trustee Kumar?
I just want to verify with legal counsel that there's no issue with the percentage we increase by.
In this case, what is being regulated is liquor licenses. And liquor is in a category of, what's the best word for it? The category of uses that there's an extra level of scrutiny towards. Video gaming would also fall in that. The Supreme Court has stated that when it comes to those types of licenses, the Illinois Supreme Court, that in other words, the cost of doing business of that type of unsavory business is whatever the license fee established by the municipality. So if the municipality feels that that fee is necessary given the type of business that is being promulgated, then that fee is considered justified.
Trustee Constados?
Thank you. Just for clarification for everybody sitting up here and everybody there and watching, can somebody just rattle off, please, the dollar amounts that
Yes.
the tripled amount would be versus what is already on this paper?
Yes, I will, do you want, go ahead.
Sure. AAA would be at 5,700. Double A would be at 9,000. Single A would be 7,500. Triple E would be 7,500.
It would be how much?
7,500. Double E would be 6,000. I would be 8,250. L would be 6,000. And Z would be 8,100. And then quad A would be 1,900.
Hold up. Quad A. Okay.
And quad E would be 2,000. And anybody who had one of the increasing license could switch to a non-tethered gaming license if they chose to.
Got the floor.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Being a small business owner myself, although I do agree that gaming should be a higher amount than the non-gaming, I think that tripling it is a steep amount to swallow as a small business owner myself. I'm okay. I would rather, let me put it to you this way, I would rather see the amounts that are currently listed versus tripling the amounts on everybody and start from there, in my opinion.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
I would like to clarify what my proposal would be. How should I go about that? Should I,
Well, what you would have
it's
to,
on the table, is that proposal? Do I have
Yes.
to revise the proposal?
so what you would have to do is you would have to make a motion to, a motion to amend.
I want to make a motion to amend.
If I may make a point of clarification, we already have a motion to amend on the table, so the only thing you could amend is trustee Kozar's motion to amend.
Okay, I would like to amend trustee Kozar's motion to amend. My suggestion is, even though I want to, I do think income is important, I would keep the quadruple A at 2,500, okay? Because even though it is restricting, it's not only about gaming, it's about giving choice, okay? I would keep the triple A at 3,500, the double A at 4,000, the A at 4,000, the B at 2,500.
Hold on one second. You said, well, B, C, D, and D1 are not on the, are not part of the
Yeah,
trustee Kozar's
so
motion.
those stay the same. I'm
Okay.
just reading them as the same.
Okay.
Okay, they stay the same. The quadruple E would be 2,500, and the triple E would be 4,000. The double E, 4,000, and the I is 4,000, and
Okay.
everything else.
Trustee
and-
Kumar, really quick. After quadruple E, what did you say?
The quadruple E and the double E are 4,000.
You want the double E at 4,000. What
Yeah.
about the triple E?
The triple E and the double E are at 4,000.
Okay.
The I is at 4,000. The L is at 2,500. And the Z is at 4,000. Which in essence keeps to what the Liquor Commission does, but kind of knocks a little bit off of each of these licenses.
Okay. So do I have a second for that motion?
Can we read that again, please?
Okay, so trustee Kumar's amended motion to amend trustee Kozar's amended motion is that the quadruple A is at 2,500, the triple A is at 3,500, the double A is at 4,000, the single A is at 4,000. The quadruple E is 2,500, the triple E is 4,000, the double E is 4,000, the I is 4,000, the L is 2,500, and the Z is 4,000.
And I want to add one more thing, that we will revisit these fees in the next year after seeing how this goes.
So just to comment on that, is That is what the local liquor control commission job is to do. And that is what they're doing in preparation for the renewal letters to go out in January, or actually out sooner for those changes to take effect in January.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear.
What was that?
Just the last sentence. What's
So,
delayed?
no. So every year, anybody that has a liquor license in town has to file a renewal, right? Those renewals, those letters go out normally out now, November-ish, so that way they can take effect in January of the next year, the following year. So the process right now is that the way we're setting it up is that the local liquor control commission, this is part of their responsibilities to review these annually, okay? And it also kind of reiterates what was supposed to have been done in 2019 that hadn't been done. So this is part of the reason why the commission was structured this way and created this way. This is why I did this. It's a little bit more transparent. There's a process involved with that. So their job every year, coming this year, is to review these fees. And then what they would do is make a recommendation to the board, which they have just like today. And then the board comes up here and discusses it then. Once the board has discussed this and the residents and business owners have had the opportunity to hear that, then once the board votes on that, then the village will then send out the renewal letters coming in October that explain the changes and explain the process there for moving forward. By January 26th, I don't know exactly when those have to be paid, but I know by January 26th is when the licenses go into effect, the new licenses of that year. So that's what's happening right now, and that's the process. And again, I know that this process is new, but it's new because of the lack of process that we had with prior administrations. So this is part of the process moving forward. Trustee Constados?
Thank you. I was wondering if we might be able to get some feedback from our commissioner?
So before we do that, we have a motion on the table. Was it seconded?
Which motion?
Trustee Kumar's.
It was not second.
Okay, so that was not seconded, that does not pass. So we are back to the original amended motion from trustee Kozar is on the table right now.
So we still in discussion?
We are still in discussion.
Then I'm sorry, I was asking if we could hear from our commissioner.
What would you like?
I just wanted to have, if he could. Just give us some information on the increasing of the fees and the reasoning behind, so that way the people can have a better understanding as far as like the enforcement and whatnot goes.
One thing that I am going to just make clear here, though, is that the Local Liquor Control Commission has made a recommendation that you see in your packet right now.
Yes.
So Commissioner DiTomaso can only speak to that. What
Exactly.
the amended motion is on the table from trustee Kozar, that is what's being discussed.
Right, and I know we made commissions because we need them to make these recommendations. I just want him to explain a little more to the people that are here.
Okay, so you're
In
basic-
case
so-
they haven't read the packet.
So just to clarify, you're
Clarification,
asking
correct, sorry.
Commissioner
I wasn't
DiTomaso
very
is to explain why
explicit.
the Local Liquor Control Commission has looked at this for the last 2 months and made this recommendation that you've made.
Sure. First of all, there was a good point made that, yes, Elmhurst recently reduced their liquor license fee from $5,500 to $4,000, but it's also important to note that that's the equivalent of our Quad A, which our recommendation is to bring that only up to $3,000, still $1,000 cheaper than Elmhurst. So that's an important point to consider. We looked at a lot of different factors, and first of all, as been discussed somewhat, there was a ordinance passed in 2019 which required the village to raise annually the fee by the CPI. And we calculated out what that would have actually been had it happened. It never happened. It would have equated to about 25% of the current rates. So the first thing we did was we artificially raised the current rates by what it should already be, and then re-looked at everything. And we wanted to make sure that there was a differential between gaming and non-gaming. And part of that was because we anticipate an additional cost for enforcement for the gaming side of things. We have not done much enforcement at all, to be honest, or verification of various things that are in the ordinances, such as a food and beverage requirement where the food is in excess of 50% of alcohol, of total sales. We have nothing to verify or even ask if those are in play, yet the ordinance is on the books. So there's a lot of different things that we've been looking at. We don't have any way to verify Bassett certification among the various servers. So these are all different things that we're looking at increasing our organization, our record keeping, our enforcement, our regulation of. And that's part of the reason also for these costs. We paid a lot of attention to other towns as well. And it was difficult because not all of them have gaming as part of their system, or only recently have had gaming, so there really isn't a good comparison. Elmhurst doesn't have gaming, and as I said, the misnomer is that they dropped their license fee, so we should drop ours. Well, as I said, their license fee still, as a comparable, is still higher than what we're recommending. So that was a big part of why we did what we did. And we did debate this for 2 months between us. It's 3 or 4 meetings, actually. We actually had several special meetings to continue to debate so that we could get here for today. And we did go back and forth. There was one commissioner that wanted them much higher. There was one commissioner that wanted them higher but lower than what we ended up at. So we ended up with effectively what we felt was the best for now, all things considered. It may not be perfect. I don't know anything that is, but we did the best we could in looking at all this. And it was really like putting together a jigsaw puzzle in a lot of ways. And that made it a little bit more complicated. So I understand all the concerns and frustration. One other thing I do want to mention, for those licenses that don't have gaming, such as Captain's Room, for example, so I mentioned you because you're here.
Ability to do gaming, it's too
I understand that. You're gonna get if this was to pass as is, you're gonna get a letter from, as part of your renewal package, suggesting you may not want to be on the license that you're on, and then if you go down to this license, you're not gonna see an increase.
Right, but then I lose the opportunity if I want to in the future, and then I have to go back.
That's your, that would be your option.
I know, but that's.
I understand.
So I'm gonna,
This is just to say there will be that
so
option.
Commissioner DiTomaso, can you just finish up, because this is not a Q&A?
Right.
Okay.
So that would be an option for some of the businesses that don't really fit in the category that they're in currently.
Yeah, so we're good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anybody have any more questions?
No, we're good, thank you.
Thanks.
One of the things that I would like to finish up here, and just to clarify for the record before we move into a vote, is that we had a business owner here earlier say that they sent me numerous emails and that I had never responded. So if you would like the details on that, yes, they did email me 2 times, and I did respond to that. I responded on August 19, 2025 at 4:24 p.m. if you would like to FOIA those. So, Clerk Lauken, roll call vote, please. Oh, wait,
What are we voting on?
1 second. Yes, we are voting on the amended by trustee Kozar.
Do we have a first and second on this?
We do.
Okay, very good. Then trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Cordova, I'm sorry, trustee Constantos,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
No.
trustee Sabri.
Yes.
Okay, trustee Constatos?
I'd like to make a motion to waive the first reading.
Okay. The motion on the table now is your motion, as amended by trustee Kozar. So do you just want to change your motion to be waived first reading?
Correct, so that way we can get the letters out in time to the business owners. Yes.
Okay. And who was the second on that? That was
Trustee Alfano.
trustee Alfano. Are you okay with that change?
To waive the first reading?
Yes.
No, I'm not. What, did you say it was to get the, I'm sorry, trustee Constados, can you tell me the reasoning again?
So we could get the letters out on time to the business owners
Oh.
with the new information?
Yes, I'm okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we have the amended motion. And to waive the first reading, is there discussion? Trustee Kumar.
I'm not in favor of waiving the first reading. I think this is something that we need to discuss in detail. We also don't have one of our trustees here, and I feel like that is also an issue. And we had a discussion, we had a proposal from our liquor commission, and we changed that proposal based on one trustee's proposal and just went to another proposal. And I feel like we need to keep another reading just to have this discussion going for one more time. That's all I have to say.
Is there any other discussion? Trustee Alfano?
Yes, question, can you give us the timeline on what that looks like to get letters out and to get notifications out? What does that timeline look like?
The timeline is that the letters have to be out. Trustee, or Commissioner DiTomaso, do you have the exact dates on that?
No.
Okay.
There's some flexibility.
I believe,
The village just needs time to get the letters out in time for the businesses to have an opportunity to respond. And frankly, I'd give them as much time as you can if they're gonna take it up to 9,000. Because they none of them are budgeted for that.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
is there any other discussion?
Can we talk again? Can we go to the speaker and talk again?
No, public comments is over with. Yeah, sorry. Correct, but the time is in public comments. We cannot do that. So if you would like to reach out to it, I need order. Okay, please. Yes, you have plenty of opportunity, like I had said, to reach out via email if you'd like, okay? My email address is presidentpatrick@invillapark.com. I need order, please. Order. All right, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Alfano.
No.
Trustee Constatos.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
No.
Trustee Sabri.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, so that passes. Okay. We are going to move along to resolutions of 13A. A resolution authorizing Village of Villa Park 2025 Halloween hours. Okay. I will.
Aye.
Okay. 13A, resolution authorizing the Village of Villa Park 2025 Halloween trick-or-treat hours. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. In staying consistent with last year's action, it is recommended the village board approve the official trick-or-treat hours of 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Friday, October 31st, 2025.
Okay, do I have a motion for the resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Alfano, do I have a second? Trustee Kumar? Any discussion? Trustee Kumar.
I don't think we've had any problem with the 3 to 8 hours, and I will be happy keeping them 3 to 8. I do understand there's a lot of single-parent families in town that may have to come back. I have had people come and get candy at late hours, and if worse comes to worse, and you don't want to open the door, don't open the door. Don't give kids candy, that's your option. That's
Okay.
it.
Trustee Constados?
I agree with it. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't get home in time to get their kids out until just 7 o'clock, and I don't think it's right to punish those people or the kids. It's just an extra hour. Just don't answer the door. I mean, it's one time a year. That's all I got to say on that. Nobody comes to my house for candy anyways.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes, I also agree with it, and when I've lived in communities where we've had trick-or-treat hours that ended earlier, they still came later. So 3 to 8, I think, is appropriate.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Constatos.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Sabri.
Yes.
Okay, moving along, Resolution 13B, Resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, establishing the regular meeting dates of the Village Board of Trustees, the regular meeting dates of the Committee of the Whole, the village holidays, and the Coffee with the Board dates for calendar year 2026. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. This resolution establishes the meeting dates of the regular Village Board of Trustees, Committee of the Whole, and Coffee with the Village Board meetings and village holiday schedule for the 2026 calendar year. The Open Meetings Act requires that every public body shall give public notice on the schedule of regular meetings at the beginning of each calendar year. The Villa Park Municipal Code establishes the regular meeting dates of the Board of Trustees for the second and fourth Monday of each month, and the Committee of the Whole meeting dates for the second Monday of each month. The board also establishes the holidays observed by the village on an annual basis. Staff recommends approval of this resolution, and the dates listed in our packet are from page 50 to 53.
Do I have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Sabri, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Constatos. Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Constatos.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Sabri.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Moving along to 14, unfinished business. Trustee Constatos.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to know if we have, I actually have two things. An update on the Union project, please. And my second thing is, I had asked for us to discuss a formal policy on spending of TIF funds. So I
Manager
would like
Rivas.
to mention that again.
Interim Director Michelle House, if you'd like to speak on the Union project update.
Yes, we have received the union's building permit plans, so those are under review. Some of those reviews, because of the size of the project, are being done by external partners. So we're eagerly awaiting. We had been meeting with the union's representatives, architects, contractors, prior to them submitting their plans, in hopes that that expedites their review process and gets them going sooner. They are hoping to be in the ground yet this year.
Awesome. Thank you.
And to address the second part about the TIF funds, that's also spelled out in the annual TIF reports on the things that were spent out of each one of the four active TIFs. And then we would then do that proposal for 2026 budget. If there's anything else you'd like to add, Interim Director?
No, but happy to answer.
Let me clarify. I had asked to make a formal policy, like an ordinance, on what we can spend the TIF funds on based from our training in IML.
Okay. That is also spelled out by state law, if memory serves me correctly, Attorney.
Yes, correct. The state statute dictates what can and can't be
Okay.
used, so.
Okay.
Trustee Kumar?
Yeah, I want to say on that, I wouldn't be wanting to change the state statute. I'd want to leave the state statute and not make it more restrictive, because that puts restrictions on it. That's all we can do, make it more restricted and not make it more open. We should keep it at the state at this point to give us most flexibility and the businesses more flexibility. That's why I wouldn't suggest we did that.
Trustee Kozar.
To trustee Constantos's request, though, about a year or so ago, I had made the recommendation that we should come up with kind of a cheat sheet of things that we were encouraging people to come in to use those TIF funds for. And perhaps that would be something that you'd like to address or look at, maybe some priorities. Because certainly there's a lot of different things in the statute, but there are also some things that we as a village might take a special interest in and want to encourage people to use those TIF funds for. And then kind of lay that out in such a way that doesn't exempt or prohibit anybody from using the full breadth of the statute. However, there would be a very simple bullet point list to say, we would encourage you to do facade improvements and, plumbing improvements and lead abatement improvements and so on and so forth, just as off the top of my head. And that could kind of tie into maybe some of your thoughts. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I
Trustee
could respond to that.
Sorry. I wasn't proposing changing anything. I was just proposing making an ordinance for it, because I believe at IML, they had mentioned a bunch of ordinances, and it was one of those. I could be wrong. I will go back and recheck my, my notes, but just to make an ordinance that states what can be used, not to change what the state says we can. That's all.
Trustee Kumar.
Do we have an ordinance that, or we do not at all?
So when the TIFs were approved, those TIF approval documents laid out what was recommended or to be, the TIF dollars were to be spent on. So we do have those for each of the TIFs.
Okay.
That we have currently.
Thank you.
And just to respond to Trustee Kozar's comments, we do have 3 grant programs available right now. The facade improvement, site improvement, and tenant improvement grants that does lay out some of the items that you were mentioning. We're happy to review those. We're looking for applicants to help use some of our TIF funds to help improve businesses and help with build-outs within our TIF corridors.
Trustee Kumar.
And to that point, I think it's also a little bit of the marketing aspect. I think that's what Trustee Kozar is kind of getting at, that people don't know what they can spend on. There are certain things that we might want to prioritize, and maybe we need more social media discussion and movement, and while we get letters out, maybe also get letters out to the businesses in the TIFs with regards to that and their benefits on that might be a good idea. As we see growth, I do know that maybe some of our commissions can be vested with some of the discussion and decision-making to help, if you're not getting applicants, I guess it's not an issue, but to help kind of foster that application process, maybe help make decisions on that. It was always something I wanted to happen through EDC, but now that the Growth Commission is there, I think that's a strict possibility for them.
Trustee Alfano.
I have other new business that is off of the topic of TIFs. I was wondering if Director Micah could update us on where we stand with the budget?
If I may go.
Thank you.
Retreat. This is.
Can you repeat your question?
Oh, just give us an update on where we stand with the budget. I know there have been some questions regarding what we've been, what you've been uncovering since you've been here. What we have there been any updates? Has there been anything that we should be privy to as a board that you've seen?
Sure. So at the moment, we are in knee-deep into composing the budget for next year. So next Monday night, we're going to be doing our first budget workshop with this management team. We're going to give some high-level overviews of where we're at in terms of what our goals are, where our ending balances are. It's not going to be I'm going to say hardcore numbers in the sense that because we don't have a balanced budget, in the sense that we're still working through it. So we wanted to start giving you an overall summary, if you will, of what we're trying to achieve and where we're at this process. With that, some of the things that we're working through are some of the things that we've uncovered this year that we've gone through. So as I've stated before, we are working through the $2,580,000 that was not budgeted for that police pension fund contribution that should have been budgeted, that we're making sure it's funded this year. We're working through the IRMA claims that from 2021 through 2024 weren't paid, so those were brought on our bill list for the last several meetings that we received those invoices to get caught up on, and those totaled roughly $58,000. We also have from our liability insurance company, because we weren't on time with filling out from the previous administration the annual questionnaire that they send out that's due in March, which basically lists out your processes and what you have for fixed assets within your village. It's kind of an in-depth report that's required to be completed. That wasn't completed on time, as well as our revenue-based report, which is something that I'm working through to get done. However, with that, you need to have your annual audit completed. So even though I tried working with our liability insurance company to get this report, an unaudited report for them, they won't accept that. They want the actual audit. And unfortunately, because of previous administration, the 2024 audit is not done yet. We are waiting for our auditors at this moment, everything that the finance department, as well as my colleagues and other department heads are working very closely with to close out 2024. And now the auditors are waiting for maybe one of their other clients. If they're not ready, then I'm going to receive a phone call to say, hey, XYZ municipality isn't ready, so we're going to be at your place on Monday, and we're ready to go. So we're just waiting for that. But they also know that we want to get this audit done as soon as possible, and so the goal is to get that completed before the end of the year. So it's just a matter of them getting in. But because of that, getting that draft audit report to get over to our liability insurance, we're still incurring late fees. And so far to date, we've spent almost $20,000 in late fees that we've incurred through our liability insurance company because of that. The other aspect that we've come across with this year is the liability insurance overall was not budgeted for $938,000, and that was the amount of money that should have been budgeted in our current budget to pay our liability insurance, and that wasn't. Now, the other part of that is that we can dip into our reserves within the liability insurance company, which is something that the previous administration went ahead and did, but that puts us behind on our normal day-to-day operations in terms of being able to fund not future projects, but future years as we move forward in terms of what that reserve is going to look like to be able to dip into it. Typically what happens is that most municipalities, especially with the experience that I've seen, is that you can use your reserves and it is encouraged, but you would never use it for the full amount. That's kind of unheard of. So that's just my opinion and my professional experience based on that. The other element that we're trying to work through that's become a challenge is that as previously reported, we also let the board know that there were several employees that were still left on our health insurance that were gone. So these are employees that were terminated. One of them was actually deceased, and the prior administration failed to remove them from the health insurance, so we were continuously paying those monthly fees on those. And to calculate all of those fees for those insurance people or former employees that were on the insurance was roughly $90,000. So that is another expense that we didn't expect this year that we're trying to work through. The other caveat that we came across to as we're working on the budget is understanding that the budget is a guide. It's not necessarily to be something that be put in stone, but it is a guide for your department heads in terms of, okay, this is what you have to use expense-wise, but you've got to keep an eye on your revenues. Hence the reason why you now receive a monthly financial report from myself from the finance department with the help of all the department heads and my colleagues as well in terms of keeping track of what we're spending, because revenues may not be on par of what we budgeted. one of the things that we came across with looking at the revenues is that previously, back in 2019, the previous administration and the board voted on the cannabis tax, that a portion of the cannabis tax was supposed to be, a third of it was supposed to be contributed to the police pension fund, a third to the fire pension fund, and a third to the Parks and Recreation Department. If you look at this current budget, they actually put in $160,000 as additional revenues were coming in to fund the third that I just mentioned. And that's not the case. So the budget was overstated by $160,000, indicating that we would be getting that additional revenues, and that's what would be dispersed to those three entities. And that's not the case at all. So the budget was overstated by that dollar amount, so that's something that we're looking to correct for 2026 as we're trying to get down to the bottom of those numbers. One of the things that's making it really, really hard for the finance department, and I by no means do I mean to complain, but that I want to reiterate, is that the bank reconciliations weren't done for over 7 months. So with not having the bank reconciliations done for 2025, it's really hard. You're running reports, we're trusting in those reports, but then when we're looking at the bank recs to compare it to our actual financial statements and what's in the system, you got to have those numbers. And so we're doing the best we can to get you those numbers and get caught up with that. With that, as I mentioned with the liability insurance, the original questionnaire that we got at the beginning of the year, which we had to list all of our assets and answer questions about our operations and whatnot, that was a delay in that because that was supposed to be done in March. So when I came on board in May, I worked feverishly to get that completed to kind of stop getting that $100 a day fee that we were getting fined on for not having that report done. So that took a lot of our time and trying to figure out where monies were spent on projects, because a lot of that is that you're tracking your capital projects and what you've spent on vehicles and equipment and et cetera. The 2023 audit was filed late from my understanding last year. I believe the board didn't receive that audit until the end of 2024. So that delays you working on the 2024 audit. So that's just kind of looking at those numbers, because one of the things that I'm doing differently with my colleagues here at the village is that trying to gauge where we think we're going to end this year, so that this way we can see what that, particularly the general fund more so than the other funds, so that you can see what your ending balance is where we think we're going to land in terms of where the progress is going with revenues, and then we know what our expenses are coming in, because as each individual department head, we know what we have on the horizon coming on. With that, then we know what we have as kind of a starting point for 2026 in terms of how much more do we have to focus on in terms of what we've lost and come across this past year as we've uncovered and worked through. Trying to think, one of the other big items that we came across too is a reminder, the Blue Cross Blue Shield invoice wasn't paid for 3 months. So that was just shy of $1 million that those invoices weren't paid, and our health insurance was canceled. Our vendor, so our employees that went to the doctors and that were not denied coverage, but basically we had to hurry up and make an emergency payment. So that, takes a toll in terms of an effort with looking at what our renewal rates are going to be. And we did receive a proposal for that renewal rate, but we're trying to work with our broker in terms of and what that's going to look like based on usage and whatnot on that aspect. So I'm looking at my notes just because I know that I keep track of everything in my head, and I'm trying to think if anything else is coming up that I'm neglecting to tell you. But those are the things that we're trying to work around, and some of the things that we have uncovered in terms of being able to guide us and help us to work and present this upcoming budget to you. So like I said, the plan is for the workshop next week, Monday night, is to give you just an overview of where we're at this snapshot, this moment in time. We know that we have the public hearing coming up in November to kind of see how much, where we've landed and where we're at before we actually present it for a formal vote in December.
Trustee Kumar?
So you're going to have some revenue projections also in that budget. I assume with, because I feel we've made a lot of changes, some of this revenue might flow into different things. When can we talk about where, I mean, this whole cannabis tax thing is a worrisome fact, to be honest to me. So when can we talk about, line items and properly setting up line items so that, things get flowed into the right buckets, as I said?
Well, actually, so right now, that's what's taking us a lot more work to do. So that's what I am doing behind the scenes with my colleagues.
Okay.
So all of us, as we're sitting through, one of the things that's difficult as we were trying to run what I'm going to call a revenue and expense report, which is your monthly budget report, is that there are a lot of employees that were coded in the wrong organizations or in the wrong department. So we're cleaning that up so that this way, when we're presenting the 2026 budget, the easiest thing for me to give you as a comparison is we have a lot of the police department, the patrol officers were basically coded out of the records department, which we know that isn't correct. Why would you move that around? So we're fixing that, and it's too cumbersome to try to get all that on track for this year. So it's kind of, the information is distorted in the sense that you might look at the report and say, well, geez, when you look at the patrol department for 2026, they might be up like 60%, but they're not, because they were coded in the records department when they shouldn't have been. So all of that line item by line item stuff is what we're working through and we're fixing and correcting for 2026. Like I had stated with the cannabis tax, we know that is an error, that's a misstatement, so we're not showing that in the revenue projections for 2026 that we're expecting an additional $160,000 in revenue, because we're not. That's a complete false. So again, as we're working through each department, line item by line item, I've had a multitude of one-on-one meetings with each department and each department head. We've had a round of one-on-one meetings with the village manager to sit down and go through this. We're getting ready for our second round in terms of like, okay, we know where we're at, we know what the requests are, we know what the expectations are, and to be honest with you, the request right now is just standard operating. I mean, we're making do with what we have, in my honest opinion, and looking at these numbers in terms of where we're at, it's bare bones. I don't know how much more without getting specifics, but
I think you said it at your last report, and you said it tonight too, that one of the things that just keeps standing out to me is that we were paying for a deceased person on our for our insurances, and there's a lot that you just told us. There's a lot that you've been telling us, and I just it's hard to take it all in to see how much trouble we were in, how mismanaged previous budgets have been. I'm almost at a loss of words. I don't know what else to say about this, but then this is a serious issue. Villa Park is in trouble. We have to look into this, and ultimately, I am very grateful that you have taken the time to go beyond the scope of your position and go back years to try to figure out this mess that we are in. It's got to be a huge headache for you as well. But thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for all the time that you are putting in to get us squared away and back on an even playing field. I really do appreciate that. And Manager Rivas, Director Micah is a godsend. She has been doing an outstanding job, and I really do appreciate the work that she's been doing for us. Trustee Sabri.
I'd just like to ask a direct question to you, is that we've been told that we have changed or moved into new software. Is the finding you are describing today, are these based on the software issue, or they were just been put in the wrong categories, or all these figures we are seeing right now, and they are like, we didn't pay the bill, we didn't pay the insurance company, we did not do this? Is that a matter of a software issue, or it was a just misguided information?
It has nothing to do with the software. Software is what you put into it. So from what I've looked at in terms of when we went live with the software and we worked with our software vendor that the village chose, they took 10 years worth of data to upload into the software. So that this way we weren't sitting and looking at the old software and then toggling over to the new software. So we had all that stuff imported. So when you talk about, or you ask, I apologize, about not paying the invoices, that has nothing to do with the software. That has the use of an invoice either sitting in somebody's email inbox or sitting on somebody's desk and just not paying it. That has nothing to do with, and budgeting, it's what you put into the software. So if you, the user, are not utilizing the software, it all falls on you. It has nothing to do with how the software operates. There is a learning curve to learning new software and how to do things, but in my experience, prior to coming here, I've worked with the software that we have, BSNA. It is a software company that is based out of Michigan, but if you look at our surrounding communities here in Illinois, more and more municipalities are switching over to them because they are kind of become the leader in our industry in terms of the sizes for municipality and affordability. And just being here a couple months myself, yes, I'm familiar with the software. I'm not familiar with the platform that we're on. So it's a totally different platform. So I'm learning just as everybody else is learning. However, they did, in my opinion, yes, they rushed the software in terms of making it go live, but they didn't do proper training. We fixed all that in July, where we had them in our meeting room, where we had them on board, we had the screen, and literally one by one through each module, sat through and went through training. And as people had questions, they asked questions and worked through it. They also have the opportunity beyond that if they have questions, that there's a question box that you toggle into and you send your question via a help desk, and within 2 to 3 hours, they get back to you, whether that be an immediate email and they give you instructions or they call you. I have not had anything that I put in for requests for reports or how to find this or how to find that, where I've had to wait any more than a couple hours or the next day because it was at the end of the day or at night if I'm sending in a request. So again, it has nothing to do with software. It all has to do with the user and the management, not software.
So the information was given incorrect, that it's a software issue, or some of the files were being created as a PDF file so we can have certain things, or, so pretty much it was just a time delay?
I don't even think it's a time delay from that perspective, just from my observation, because the history that was imported into the system has nothing to do with how you're putting the current data in. So them putting in the budget that they input, that was them inputting it manually. That wasn't them porting it over from anywhere. So as I'm working with my colleagues, as we're working on the software itself, you're plugging in the numbers. Yes, it is manual entry, but it updates everything in real time. So that has nothing to do with a historical aspect of it. It's current time, it's real time, and it's input. It's to say that you're waiting on past historical stuff doesn't make any sense to me. I can't wrap my head around it and make sense of it and say that makes sense as to why what happened. To me, it's not a justification.
No, I thank you for bringing all this information to this board. And again, Manager Rivas, I know you guys have been working very hard. I can speak for myself and some of the board members here that we really appreciate your bringing forward all that information that you have put together. And we have to make a decision what we need to move forward with that information, onward. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Director Micah?
Nothing.
Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there any other unfinished business?
Are we talking about new business? Because I think this was new.
Finish unfinished.
We're still on unfinished.
Is there any other unfinished business? Okay, new business.
Yeah, new business. I would like to add a line item to the agendas for basically suggestions for commissions, like if we want them to look at something. Just as I said, I would like the Growth Commission, for instance, to look at the TIF dollars being spent or something like that. So just a line item within the agenda where you say, this is our suggestions from the board to the commission. That's all.
Any other new business? Trustee Sabri.
Yes, I would like to ask for information, or perhaps we can add a new item. I know the Sugar Creek Golf Course, they're going to be celebrating 50 years next couple of weeks, I believe. And we have a mutual agreement between Village of Villa Park and also City of Elmhurst. I'd like to see if we have, or anyone can provide me with a roster, how many residents from Villa Park are using that facility and how many residents from Elmhurst are using that facility. That's number one. And how many are outside from this, those two communities, the facilities being used. I'd like to see their budget as well, what the budget we have. I know I can see some of the items on their website. And to me, I need a little bit more clarification on this. I would like to see at least last 5 to 7 years budget what was presented, and actually where we are, what the actual running cost is for this facility. Perhaps we need to revisit our agreement, what we have. So I'd like to see those numbers, and I'd like to see that information.
Yeah, Trustee Sabri, I agree with you. The last intergovernmental agreement that we have with Elmhurst regarding Sugar Creek Golf Course was established in 1975 and has not been updated since. So I think your points are valid. I think there is opportunity for us to gain information, previous budgets that we cannot find, as well as what these agreements look like and if that's fitting for Villa Park. So I'd like to see that as well. Is there any other new business? Trustee Kumar.
I'm just going to say I like the podium being here as new business, and that was a great suggestion that came out at Coffee with the Board. And I just want to thank the individual on Villa Avenue that came up with that suggestion.
Yep.
Any other new business? Okay, seeing none, we are going to move along to item 16, Village Commission reports. We have the local liquor commission meeting minutes of August 26, 2025, and we also have the special meeting minutes of the local liquor control commission of August 6, 2025. Do we have to approve those? It's just information. Okay, so is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Moving forward to item 17, Village Commission recommendations. We have a Community Recreation Commission regarding Villa Park Youth Baseball Field improvements. We do have our chairperson from the Community Recreation Commission as well as representatives from Villa Park Youth Baseball present. Can I ask either of you to kind of give an overview, or Katie, if you could give an overview of the recommendation, basic overview?
Yeah, we are recommending.
Katie, I'm sorry, could you do me a favor and go to the podium? Thanks. And if there's anything that you'd like to add, go ahead.
We are recommending that we allow Villa Park Youth Baseball to resurface Twin Lakes and Jackson Fields 1 and 2. And then add a second field to Franklin Park along with a fence that protects players from the street. And then start the idea of fundraising for purchasing lights for High Ridge for Twin Lakes and, did I say High Ridge already? High Ridge and Twin Lakes. And this would be at the cost of Villa Park Youth Baseball. And their added value to the community is, incalculable. But being able to do these for our fields, I think would be a really great opportunity, just not only for Villa Park, but just also for our residents. Do you have anything else, Rocco?
Okay. Does the board have any questions regarding the recommendations? Trustee Kumar.
I don't really have a question, I just have a thank you for putting it together, and as usual, you've been great, Villa Park Youth Baseball.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to direct staff to enter into an agreement with Villa Park Youth Baseball regarding this recommendation from the Community Recreation Commission. Trustee Alfano?
I will make that motion.
Okay, is there
I'll
a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Constados? Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, yeah.
Just to clarify for everyone, so this is a direction to staff to put it together, and we'll work with you for a simple agreement, and then the actual vote on it will occur at a future meeting. I mean, you can vote on the direction, but in terms of approving the agreement, that will be at a future meeting.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Constatos?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Sabri?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so moving along to item 18, it's Village Clerk's Report.
I have nothing.
Okay. Village Trustee Report, starting on my left.
I just want to say that the Autumn Jubilee is coming up. As you can see, there's a display in front of us. I don't know. It's showing there. You've got the dates. I'll be out there. I hope that you'll come out. I'm decorating my skeleton now that I have the number. And those of you who want to decorate, come decorate. It's going to be fun. Bring the kids out. Let's have fun together. Villa Park.
Trustee Sabri.
I have no report today.
Okay. Trustee Alfano?
Yes, thank you. To those of you who have sponsored a skeleton on the Prairie Path, you have a Skelly. If you are sponsoring one and you are part of the Skelly Squad and you have not heard from anybody from the Fun Commission, check your emails, check your spam, or you can email me at trusteealfano@invillapark.com. I understand that some people did not get their numbers, so I would like to make sure that you are a part of that and you are able to get your skeleton number to get your skeleton decorated. Thank you to those of you who have already done that. I think it's been a lot of fun so far to see all the creativity that we have in Villa Park. As you've already heard, Autumn Jubilee is this Saturday from 11 to 5 on the Prairie Path by the Villa Park Historical Museum. It's always a great time. There's going to be a face painter, the Prairie Path People Mover Parade. That's where you decorate your bike or a wagon. There's going to be karaoke, food trucks, bands, clowns. The Aspire Dance Company is leading a community thriller dance down the path. So we hope that at some point you're able to stop by. We have other local musicians coming. Just stop by. It's always a fun time to see everybody. And then I believe on October 20th, which is our budget meeting, those meetings are going to be moved here from Village Hall to the Village Park Recreation Center. So keep an eye out for those many Facebook posts and social media posts, and check our website. We do have some work on the elevator that is scheduled, so just keep an eye out and know that those meeting places will be changing. That's all I have.
Thank you. On my right, Trustee Constados.
Thank you. I would like to remind everybody, once again, to please purchase your pumpkins from our local VFW this season. I'd also like to say thank you to the Villa Park Police Department and all the vendors who came out to the open house Saturday. I know that all the kids had quite fun there, as well as so did I, although I did not get in the jumpy house. But there was also good information to be received. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Screening early could lead to early detection that can literally save one's life. Male breast cancer is more rare and generally overlooked, so both men and women are encouraged to get screened. And I would also like to say thank you to Riley for updating and posting all the e-scooter and e-bike information to our website. We are happy that she is back and continuing to keep all of our residents up to date with information, and we missed her. And that's about all I have.
Okay. Trustee Kozar.
No report.
Okay. Moving along, it has been a busy week. Saturday was the Villa Park Fire Department's open house. It went really well. It was well-attended, a lot of vendors. On Friday, Willowbrook had its band night, where local school districts were able to attend and play on the field and attend that game. Friday last week, I met with a local community member, JP Hawkbaum, regarding community safety. I also, last Thursday, attended the intergovernmental meeting at Willowbrook, where school districts 45 and 48 and 88 were present, along with local mayors in town and other organizations. Wednesday was also the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. And then also, we had our first meeting with Malin Associates regarding our economic development opportunities, which I'm very excited about. Also, last week, I met with Chief Stapleton at the Fire Department, where we talked about updating our Emergency Operations Plan, our EOP. And our last Coffee of the Board was on October 4th. And we will be having our next one on November 1st, and Trustee Constados and Trustee Cordova will be hosting that one. Recently, over the weekend, Villa Park lost one of its well-known local artists in town, Tony Fitzpatrick. If you're not familiar, Tony has been a resident in Villa Park for quite a while. He has many different pieces of artwork that are out there, and has contributed a lot to Villa Park and the art community in general. And I just wanted to say my prayers and thoughts are with him and his family as well. But I guess to end on a lighter note is that recently, I was appointed by the DuPage County Board to the Police Records Management Oversight Committee. And I attended my first meeting there, and the chair of that committee is our DuPage State's Attorney, Robert Berlin. And in the conversation that I had with him outside of the meeting, he was speaking extremely highly of our Villa Park Police Department and how well of a job they were doing. And when that comes from DuPage State's Attorney's Office, Robert Berlin, that is a compliment in itself. So I want to say kudos to the Villa Park Police Department. You guys are doing an outstanding job. Keep up the good work, and you're living up to that reputation. So thank you for all of that. That is about all I have. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. As was previously stated, we do have our budget workshop October 20th at 6 p.m. It will be at the Villa Park Recreation Center. This will be the last meeting of this board in this site, as our elevator is being serviced from 4 to 6 weeks. So all of our meetings will be transitioning over to the Villa Park Recreation Center. And then the very next village board meeting, October 27th, I will not be at. I will be at a conference from October 25th to 29th. And in my stead will be Assistant Village Manager Mike Ware, who will dutifully take the post. That is all I have, sir.
Thank you. So we do have executive session tonight. We will be pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. Also pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. And also 5 ILCS 120/2C5, the purchase or lease of retail property for the use of public body. Can can I get a motion for executive session? Trustee Sabri, second. Trustee Alfano. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will go into executive session and adjourn out of that meeting. Can we please get a roll call vote?
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Constatos.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Sabri.
Yes.
Okay, we will go into executive session at 9 o'clock.